Run for the Love of Nigeria is all we need to make Nigeria better and greater. This message is powered by Today95.1 FM.
Wow, baby, I love what I'm saying. Let's go have some fun. Me and you together.
You don't have protection.
No, I don't have protection.
Have you checked the HIV status?
Come on, I don't womanize. I'm a clean guy.
Today, HIV and AIDS is a major global health emergency affecting all regions of the world, causing millions of deaths and sufferings. It is the leading infectious cause of adult death in the world, and about 19 million out of the 35 million people living with HIV globally do not know their HIV status. This has led to delayed treatments, spread of the virus, wrong decisions about their health, and ultimately death. You cannot protect yourself or the health of others if you don't know what to look out for. Be informed about your health and your future. Be responsible about your sex life. Get tested and know your status today. This message is brought to you by Today95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Yesterday, like every other day, I had it all, but now it's all gone.
We all have dreams to become something in life, but these dreams can become doomed if you're reckless with your life. Never have unsafe and unprotected casual sex. Don't throw your life or waste your life away. HIV/AIDS is real. Don't be a fool.
Hey, you want to speed drive? Come on, go to the racetrack. You want to smoke? Not on the steering wheel. You want to drink alcohol? Don't do it on wheels. Go to a bar and don't drive afterwards. Seat belts are not for fancy. They're there to save your life. Know your traffic rules and obey them because they are for your own good. Drive with care because life is dear. Hey.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News update. Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News update.
Good afternoon, and here is the news update on Today 95.1 FM. I am Ifeemi Andrew. We apologize for that brief interruption. Now, on the update, the Independent National Electoral Commission and President Muhammadu Buhari have lost their bid to have the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal dismiss the petition filed by the People's Democratic Movement and its presidential candidate in February 23, 2019, Pastor Haminchi Habu. Habu and the PDM are by their petition challenging the victory of Buhari and the All Progressives Congress at the poll. INEC and Buhari had, through their respective lawyers, filed separate motions seeking the dismissal of the petition on the grounds that the petitioners failed to comply with the provisions of paragraph 18, sub 1 of the first schedule of the Electoral Act. The Commission contended that the petitioners had violated the said provisions of the Electoral Act by failing to apply for the pre-hearing notice within 7 days after the close of pleadings, marked by the filing of their final replies to the respondents' replies to the petition. But, dismissing the applications in separate rulings, the Justice Muhammad Garba-led tribunal unanimously held that the petitioners did file their application for the issuance of pre-hearing notice within the time stipulated by law. Justice Garba, who read the lead ruling, held that the pleadings were closed on April 20, 2019, when the petitioners filed their reply to the last received reply of the second respondent to the petition. The judge held that, therefore, the application for the issuance of pre-hearing notice filed by the petitioners on April 30 was within the 7 days period stipulated by law and deemed to be proper. He dismissed the applications by INEC and Buhari for lacking in merit. The tribunal, however, also in another ruling dismissed an application by the petitioners seeking that judgment be delivered in their favor on the grounds of alleged tardiness of the respondents, INEC, Buhari, and APC. And now the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has released the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination results of 3,736 candidates after their physical verification. However, 4 candidates were discovered by the board to have indulged in malpractices ranging from inflating their scores to cheating, and therefore had their results withdrawn. JAM's head of information, Fabian Benjamin, confirmed the development, saying the board would not spare efforts in identifying and sanctioning any candidate who attempted to falsify UTME. And now the planned anti-cultism summit being organized by Today 95.1 FM for the 6th of July has continued to receive commendations from stakeholders. This time, the chairman of LMA Local Government Council in Rivers State, Philip Okbaraji, has thrown his weight behind the summit, saying it was necessary to stem the tide of criminalities in the state. Speaking in an interview with our correspondent Chinedu Iwuna, Okbaraji said the move by Today FM's management will help in strengthening the security of the state. On the security situation in LMA, the council boss said security operatives are on top of the game to ensure that lives and properties were protected in LMA local government area.
We'll give all our support for the security summit. I think it's going to help in reducing crime rates in Rivers State. It's actually going to help in strengthening the security of the state. So we'll give all our maximum support to the security summit being organized by your station. You know, we're living in a society where you find daily occurrence of crimes. So we're not relenting in our effort. When I say we need to do more, is that we need to actually cover other areas in Eleme, like One, Ekporo, Eteo, Agbonchia, and the security are on top of the situation in these areas. So we are not relenting. We are partnering with the security agencies to ensure there is a crime-free society in Eleme.
And now on the foreign scene, a heat wave affecting much of Europe is expected to intensify further after Germany, Poland, and Czech Republic recorded their highest ever June temperature on Wednesday. Some countries, including France and Switzerland, expect temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius today. Meteorologists say exceptionally hot air drawn in from northern Africa is to blame for the European heat wave. French officials have issued stark warnings about the risk to life. The heat is expected to rise further in many places over the next 3 days, meteorologist says. And that's it on the news update. Thank you for listening.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Insecurity has become a common factor in our general language within the Nigerian space, no doubt. Not only has it become a threat, it has begun taking diverse dimension we cannot ignore, where cultism spreads and breeds evil in its every wake. A solution we seek. A desire to stop the trend is imminent. And as your number one talk station, we have taken the challenge to champion this discourse and prefer solutions. Join us at our Anti-Cultism Summit on the 6th of July at 9 a.m. Be part of the solution.
Peace is a situation where there is no war or violence in a society. Peace allows wealth to accumulate and the society to advance.
Through peace, generations of wealth, education, technology can build up, thereby making people very prosperous and happy.
Without peace, there will be violence, war, and underdevelopment in our society. The most disadvantageous peace is far better than the most just war. Let us embrace peace for a better society.
This message is brought to you by your premium talk radio, Today 95.1 FM.
It's what I pray for all around the world. It's what I pray for all my.
The situation is critical. The issues are diverse.
You see, courtesan in quote is the surname of all other criminalities. But this year, courtesan has a new child known as banditry.
I'm sure you are aware that the 6th Division of Nigeria Army is court-martialing some of its officers for being involved in kidnapping.
There is a consciousness that is going on that if you are into this thing, you become a supreme being.
The whole criminality we are seeing, especially as they occur in River State, they revolve around culture.
So what if you are volunteering information to an accomplice?
In seeking a solution, the Today FM Anti-Cultism Summit comes up on the 6th of July, time 9 a.m. Keynote speakers are Amalpu Senibo Bobo Sophie Brown, Professor Chief Andrew Efemini, Retired Colonel Owunda, Professor Austin Sadu, and Ken Henshaw of We the People. Also on the table will be representatives of stakeholders and the various organs of influence that can help deal with the stemming tide of cultism. Keep the date, 6th of July 2019, 9 a.m. Let's fight cultism together.
Thomas Edison, who lived from 1847 to 1931, was quoted as saying in 1890 that non-violence leads to the highest ethics, which is the goal of all evolution. Until we stop harming all other living beings, we are still savages. Encourage peace in the city and report violence. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not harm. Thou shalt not be violent. This message is brought to you by the voice of the people. Today, 95.1 FM Port Harcourt.
Every child deserves to be happy. Every child deserves to laugh. Years after Nigeria adopted international prohibitions on child labor into law, millions of children in the country are still engaged in child labor activities. The International Labour Organization estimates that about 25% of Nigeria's 80 million children under the age of 14 are now in the workforce. Every child deserves a childhood. Let us all rise in every hood to give every child, regardless creed, belief, or tribe, a pleasant childhood filled with laughter. This message is brought to you by the voice of the people. Today 95.1 FM.
The situation is critical. The issues are diverse.
You see, courtesan in quote is the surname of all other criminalities. But this year, courtesan has a new child known as banditry.
I'm sure you are aware that the 6th Division of Nigeria Army is court-martialing some of its officers for being involved in kidnapping.
There is a consciousness that is going on that if you are into this thing, you become a supreme being.
The whole criminality we are seeing, especially as they occur in Rivers State, they revolve around culture.
So what if you are volunteering information to an accomplice?
In seeking a solution, the Today FM Anti-Cultism Summit comes up on the 6th of July, time 9 a.m. Keynote speakers are Amalpu Senibo Bobo Sophie Brown, Professor Chief Andrew Efemini, Retired Colonel Owunda, Professor Austin Sadu, and Ken Henshaw of We the People. Also on the table will be representatives of stakeholders and the various organs of influence that can help deal with the stemming tide of cultism. Keep the date, 6th of July 2019, 9 a.m. Let's fight cultism together.
This is today's hustle. One show that embodies objectivity. We raise the bar in examining the good, the bad, the sordid, everything that has to do with society.
In America, you buy a big house and you pay gradually for 30 years of your life. That is politics. In Nigeria, you carry out your salary and go and rent one room. Bad politics.
Everything that has to do with
you
society.
must negotiate. If we don't negotiate, when a man is pushed to the wall, he bounces back with double leverage. We have been pushed to the wall.
The Hustle. Every weekday from
1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
on Today 95.1 FM.
Your premium talk radio station, Today 95.1 FM, 14 minutes past 2 o'clock, and you're welcome to the second half of the show. Andrew is my name. Balu, stay with me in the studio.
Yes,
Andrew. This is today's hustle on Today 95.1 FM. And on this half of the show, we are going to be taking a critical look at this particular societal. It has become a thorn in the flesh of society. I'm talking about cultism. So you know, Today FM is organizing an anti-cultism security summit the 6th of July. And I think you heard that before we came on. We're going to be giving you more updates and more information with regards to when and how it's going to be happening. For those of us who are eager and itchy to be a part of it, we've seen the need to begin to educate young people. Now you find out that even kids from secondary school belong to one cult group. Recently on the news, you heard a young man that was arrested, and he belongs to a different cult group, a new
there
name.
Was the time secondary school students brought tear gas into the classrooms, canisters.
You know, you begin to ask yourself, what would inspire these sort of habits, and what would make young people go into activities of this magnitude and not think twice about taking the life of a fellow human being. These are some of the things that we Today FM is trying to address with that summit, and trying to see that we work together with the government, do our own part, and contribute to improving the security situation in Rivers State by educating people, sensitizing young people, youths, so that they stay away from such activities. And at the end of the day, who knows? We might be saving the life of the future governor of Rivers State or president of Nigeria, even the next richest man in Africa. Well, so that's it on Anti-Cultism and Security Summit for Today FM. But right now on the show, we are going to be looking at cultism. We're doing a groundwork because henceforth, it's going to be topics that would focus more on cultism itself. Is there any benefit from cultism? The first answer would be no. There is no single benefit from it, although many people have created the impression that you stand to gain certain things when you belong to a cult group. So quickly, I'll tell you this. Cultism can be defined as the practice or activities of a group of people who have extreme religious beliefs that are considered severe. It's a social crime which is very rampant within the school system, although cult groups are everywhere within the larger society. And that's another point. I've heard many people say, until our own leaders even stay away from secret cults. It's difficult to then speak to young people not to be part of cultism. The history in Nigeria is very simple. Secret cult is a group or association whose activities are made hidden from non-members. And the historical development of cultism in Nigeria dates back to Nigeria higher institutions. It started as a fraternity, according to the report. The sole aim of it was maintaining law and order on campuses. This is a role that was played by secret societies in the adult communities. The cults were in existence with the aim of addressing acts of injustice, victimization, and other issues like the Knights Templars that found Solomon's mine. A lot of other, we have different, even abroad in the UK, America, different.
Yeah.
Many of them now, people talk about the Illuminati and the rest of them. Well, that's not what we're looking at now, though. But in Nigeria, in 1952, the Pirates Confraternity, Sea Dogs, was formed at the University of Ibadan as a students' protest group. Now, they were against the quote and attitude stigma. The Pirates, being the first known social club in any Nigerian university, saw their mode of dressing as typical example of colonial mentality and therefore adopted the motto, sworn enemies of convention, a position which portrayed them as radical students or group. It also acted as the corrective organ of students' union. In this regard, being disciplinary in nature, they fought against all forms of injustice perpetrated either by the university authority or by the student unions. It goes on and on with different cult groups. Then the Buccaneers, Sea Lords, emerged in 1972. In 1960, another group, Aye Fraternity, emerged in the University of Ibadan, subsequently registered by the authority as a cultural association. Many people also don't want to associate with... that's for the IAs in University of Ibadan. Many don't want to associate with the Kegite Club because they feel like it's also like a cult group. Although they say their activities are different, just like this one, it's cultural. In Yoruba language, you're Yoruba. Aye in Yoruba language is otherwise known as air lords. They had their own motto, and it went on and on. But we've come to discover that the history and how this thing grew into Nigeria, it's even deeper than just what started in University of Ibadan.
Yes, of course. It started as a movement. I'm checking the website now where they detailed it, and it started as a movement against some practices that were going on in the university at the time. Nobel
Laureate Wole Soyinka was said to be one of the people who championed that movement.
He was one of the 7 people who championed the movement. And when cultism started at first, it had good intentions. Let me put it that way. They called themselves the Magnificent Seven, and it was even hard to get into these fraternities. It was quite hard.
You had to be intelligent.
You had to be intelligent.
They check your grades.
They check your grades, and you had to support social justice and human rights. And their activities were very important to notice. Their activities were very non-violent, even despite their resolution and fighting against what they called nonsense and pretenses. The motto of their confraternity at the time was against all conventions because they believed some students were benefiting from colonial masters at the time. Now, subsequently, over time, some members as at that time, the Pirate Confraternity was the only confraternity in all universities. At this time, it had not gotten into the streets and suburbs, urban. It was only in the schools. It was only in the universities, and it was the only one. Before we knew what was happening, some people left actually, and then they formed the Buccaneers. From there, another person, Supreme Aye Confraternity, which means bed in Yoruba language. Then again, we have the Neo-Black Movement of Africa, actually started in South Africa. That is the Black Axe. Just
like we have the KKK.
Yes, the KKK as well. Started in South Africa as well. A lot of them. In fact, now we have some primary school.
Recently on the news, we heard a new name that's very new to everybody.
And according to this website, back then the politicians would use this fraternities, right, to cause mayhems in schools and trying to try to checkmate some professors who were against their rulings or who talked against their government and stuff like that. They used it also. Politicians also use this, according to this website. Politicians use these fraternities to try and oppress their perceived opposition.
Talking about politicians, though, I don't think it should just be labeled to that. If we come to Rivers State now, many have tried to understand why we have the increasing rate of cultism in Rivers State. Why is it on the high? Why is it becoming so rampant? And according to some reports that we gathered, it said the desperation for power by politicians is one of the reasons why it's on the rise. Remember that the police PRA, Nnamdi Moni, I'm paraphrasing what he said, when the incident of cultism, the killings were getting too much, he said that what's happening now is the fact that these cult groups have been dislodged by the police. They've been smoked out of their hidings. They're no longer being patronized by their sponsors. And what they are doing now is trying to show superiority and gain the attention of those people who sponsor them. So it's almost like saying we're better than you, we're bigger than you, this is our domain.
Yes.
So that we're in charge, and
We're
then
in charge.
they can get the attention of some of the political sponsors or whoever that sponsored them. That was what he was insinuating. And from what we gathered, the articles also pointed in that direction, saying the desperation of power by politicians could be one reason. As you all know, elections in Rivers State have been said to be violent for many reasons. Unemployment was also pointed out to be another reason why people go into it. Injustice and poverty are some of the other factors that are responsible for the rise in cult activities and other criminal activities in Rivers State. That was said. Recently, remember that a Muslim group also was attacking the governor for calling Rivers State a Christian state. We're not talking about what they said, but one thing they pointed out was the fact that unemployment is a major problem, and that's why we have the increased rate of killings. When everybody points to unemployment, I choose to disagree sometimes, because are we going to say that all of Nigeria is unemployed? Meanwhile, the rising activities of daredevil cult groups in Rivers State have been blamed on fallout of unfulfilled promises and agreement between unemployed youths and desperate politicians in the state.
I was going to say that in Rivers State, I read somewhere that cultism is related to these guys that collected amnesty and then the militants. It's ex-militants. Yes, ex-militants. It's quite related to the ex-militants. Like when government doesn't
renege on their plan,
when government doesn't
promise,
fulfill certain promises, then these guys take up arms and they try to make sure that they get their own share of what they call national cake or state cake. Well, I was checking this website. This one talks about cultism in the US. And it gives reasons why people join gangs. They call it gangs.
So it's not just peculiar to Africa, Nigeria, or Rivers State. It's a serious problem.
Yes, it's a serious problem. And this one says some become gang members to profit from organized crimes in order to obtain necessities such as food and shelter.
And that's similar to what we were just talking about.
We talked about, or to gain access to luxury goods and services. They may also be seeking protection from rival gangs or violent crime in general, especially when the police are distracted or inactive.
I'll pause you there. And that's a typical situation many would say in Rivers State. Because many have asked the question, if the police were up to their task, we wouldn't need OSPAC, a local vigilante group. And all of these people would not be afraid to give information to the police. Because sometimes you're afraid that you give an information, you're not sure who you are giving the information to. You're not sure if you will be protected. You don't know if the police officer is even working or belongs to or used to be a member and is not completely changed. Many things. Quick, before we go on to our guest, we'll be speaking with Colonel Ovunda. It would be telling us more details on why we have this issue of cultism and how, from a security perspective, we can tackle the situation. Meanwhile, investigations revealed in Rivers State that over 98% of members of Debam and Iceland cult groups, which are some of the major cult groups in Rivers State, are school dropouts and youths who have no one to assist them in life. Some of them have been trained in different skill acquisition, but have no funds to start up their own businesses. We've been talking about how the government, remember the Amnesty Office to say, don't take this advantage of, take good advantage of the scholarship. And we asked, when they go, they learn the school, they come back, where do you put them?
Yeah.
Where
do they go?
I don't think that's not also an excuse on the part of these people to commit crime, because you're even lucky that somebody took you abroad. There are people who did not commit crime and have been waiting for an opportunity to go school abroad, and they did not find it. And you got it. So you have to be creative with your mind, and violence should not be an option. It also further said a lot of other things. Mr. Ejowo Amadi lost 2 of his sons last year to court-related activities, and he narrated how they joined the cult group Icelander. He said, I quote, "There was no money to send them to the university. Though one of them did not complete his secondary school education, that one I sent learned how to repair vehicles, became a mechanic, but on completion, we did not have money to support him." So all of these things happened. But there are also wealthy family who have their children in cult groups. Some of those ones then we say that they are joining for protection.
There's a protection.
And there's also the idea that you obtain a certain status in society if you belong to a cult group. In the University of Port Harcourt, for instance, we know that these things happen among students. Some of them belong for, we've heard...
Even to get girls.
Yes, some of them,
to get girls to like them.
To get girls to like them.
It's quite funny.
So I think the problem is really wide. Hence, that's why we're having the anti-cultism summit on the 6th of this month. But we're just trying to put a groundwork here on what this really is. It's a huge situation. It's something that we really need to look at critically. So it's really deep, and it's deeper than what we expect. First off, regardless of the fact that many people join for certain reasons, there is no gain in belonging to a group that breaks the law and commits crime. When you break the law, you commit crime already, or take the life of another person. There is no... I went for an interview some time ago. It was an exam, a school I wanted to get into at that time. So we were asked, I don't want to mention the name of the school. It was a private university at the time. So after many questions, they gave us papers and asked us to write the benefits of cultism.
They asked you to write the benefits of cultism.
They asked. That was the question. Benefit of cultism. I won't forget. This was in 2004, 2005, if I'm not mistaken. 2000 or thereabout, 6 thereabout. So we all were looking, and everybody took to the papers and we right, because we had the idea. The idea was, including myself at that time, like, status, people respect you. That's the general idea. That has been sold to every single individual, many young people today. You feel among, and after we wrote, that was how we all failed, because the idea was then we had potentials to be or belong to a cult group. So we were taken to a counselor straight away to reorganize our minds. And the answer to that simple question was, the man said there's no benefit at all of any kind. And I didn't understand at that time. But now I understand better. And so to many other people who are listening, yes, it's a problem now in River State. People get killed. Problem. People get beheaded
most
for reasons.
Of the activities, kidnapping, every
and you ask
activity.
yourself, why all of this? Instead, in River State, it has been traced mostly to politicians. Politicians are behind most of the activities.
Because they definitely have a sponsor, because these guys get arms.
Who gives them the arms? How did they acquire those arms? Well, we'll be speaking with our guest, Cornel Uwunda, shortly to get his own opinion on this and what could be the cause of it and how we can get out of it, what can be done to help us reduce it drastically and stop it if possible. While we'll do that, we'd encourage you to send in your text messages and let us know what you think about what is really the reason for the increased rate of cultism in River State in Nigeria. In fact, statistics recently released talked about states that had death by cultism the most. We had Rivers, Abuja, and Lagos State leading the pack, amongst others. So we'd like to know from you, cultism in River State, what is responsible for the increase? Who should be in the front line of ensuring that we stop this? Many have blamed the family. Others have said the church or the mosque, religious bodies generally. Some other people say the government. Who should lead the front? How do we tackle this? That is the question we're asking. We'll try to get in touch with our guest now. Meanwhile, send your text messages. When we return, we'll take your phone calls. We'll be right back.
Insecurity has become a common factor in our general language within the Nigerian space, no doubt. Not only has it become a threat, it has begun taking diverse dimension we cannot ignore, where cultism spreads and breeds evil in its every wake. A solution we seek. A desire to stop the trend is imminent.
All right, welcome back. We have our guest with us here via telephone, Colonel Wunda. Sir, you're welcome. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
All right, so quickly would like you to enlighten us more. The menace of cultism in society. I'm sure as that now you're aware that Today FM is having an anti-cultism and security summit sometime next month, the 6th to be precise. And that has warranted us to talk about this growing crime in society, especially now focusing on Rivers State. What are really the causes of cultism, and who should be in the forefront of tackling this issue?
Well, the causes of cultism, from my own...
as a security expert, yes. I said from your angle as a security expert, from your experience.
It has to do with a whole lot of societal vices that have besieged this country through unemployment, lack of monetary transactions moving on within the society. And, again, cultism has gone deep into even primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions because, first of all, in the early 60s, it was from the tertiary institution we had of cult groups like Sea Dogs and Pirate Fraternity, which was then organized and founded by the likes of the Revolution for reasonability, putting things right in the campuses. But now the whole thing has turned upside down because what they, the founders, had in mind has turned negative. Now people join cultism for exaggerated expectations, improvement of financial position, heritage from parents, lack of self-confidence, promise of mouth-watering jobs, and so on, and ego, saying that I'm a strong man, and so on. So that they use that fora to cause a whole lot of problems because we have also found out that cultists today are into drug-related issues, they are into armed robbery, they are into banditry, they are into humiliating other students that are in their midst, and so on. So you see a whole lot of violence going on in campuses in the society are caused by bandits, by cultists today. And that is how also why this thing went haywire today in our society, because when you look at the democracy that have just set in 20 years ago, you find out that the gladiators, the political gladiators, already have firm grip and hold, and also use this group of boys to cause mayhem.
In other words, you're saying in Rivers State, politics and politicians are also contributing to the increase that we have in cultism.
Definitely, they are using them because it's already a well-known group, that has formed, and they're using them to perpetuate evil during elections. And don't forget, once they are armed, the problem of recovering the arms for them becomes a genocidal problem because nobody wants to go back and fight such people. So they use it for all kinds of vices in the society.
Okay. Now, on the issue of trying to curb this, many have said that security agencies haven't done enough. Do you share that idea? Do you think there is more that security agencies can do, a different approach perhaps, that would help the situation?
Security agencies have tried their best in my own little way, as I've seen, but most of these court cases are sponsored by the high and mighty, the VVIPs and the VIPs in the society. Let me give you an example of when most of them are even apprehended and to be prosecuted. You hear calls coming from all kinds of areas to release them because they are their boys and so on. So if you even have the security agencies today, they will tell you the predicament they are facing because most of them are being sponsored and paid by the high and mighty in the society. So it's a very major problem. But looking at it also, there are ways of preventing this thing, but since it has permeated into even the primary school level, into of these schools, like the tertiary institutions, should be equipped to enable them cope effectively with the challenges posed by this problem. The school authorities should deal decisively with anybody caught being a member, like by extortion. It happened during my time when I was in the University of Lagos in the early 80s, where some group of boys were caught and they were expelled, about 43 of them. Then authorities should also closely monitor activities of registered groups in the school. Then student organizations must be made to execute strategic edifying projects. You know, you have organizations like Road Track, you have Man of War, and so on. So they can also be used to monitor the excesses of these people. Then the role of parents also in trying to monitor the behavior and conditions and reactions or changes in their children. This has to do a lot with preventing cultism, because most of the children, once they are cultists, they are more or less into drugs. And once they are into drugs, it becomes a very big problem, because they start behaving anyhow at home. They start to be seclusive in their ways of doing things. They don't mix up freely with people and so on. So these are major vices that are creating problems and this and that.
Okay.
Look at specific areas like the security agencies synergizing with most of these organizations also to see how they can bring out these people and they can be arrested and prosecuted.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We wish we could continue, but time is not on our side. Thank you very much for the information. Well, that was our guest, the Colonel Wunda, speaking and then giving us more ways in which we can tackle this menace. We'll go to our phone lines now and get your own thoughts and opinions, your views, and what you think can be done and should be done to tackle the problem of cultism in Rivers State, particularly in Nigeria at large. Remember that you can call us on 0817-0000-951 and 0810-951-0951. Who should lead the fight against cultism? Who should be in the forefront of this battle against this crime that is ravaging society at a very high rate? Is what we're discussing. You can send your text messages to 0701-933-9962. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes, my name is Ahusi Chima, calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay, Chima, go ahead.
Yes, Andrew, the recommendation given by this team about the causes of cultism, it is clear, it is crystal clear that the cultism, the people that are orchestrating cultism were the politicians who have to empower these boys to be able to help them win elections. So it is clear now. You understand? Andrew, there was information at my disposal during the last 2019 election where a particular court group were settled by politicians, one, to allow them match a ballot box to a particular place, then two, to allow them, to have election on a particular place. So these are the information at my disposal. And when you look at this thing, it's clear that you are making crime so lucrative, whereby many people want to go into it. You understand? So policies, this is what politics have given to Nigeria. Politics have given other Western world dividends of democracy, good roads, infrastructure. But it's unfortunate that in Nigeria here, what we are witnessing today is what politics have brought for us. But the question remains, can we continue to practice politics? Yes. Now, you talk about the forefront. The people that should be at the forefront is the government. The government should be at the forefront in fighting these causes. Forget about what the governor said that the traditional rulers. Yes, traditional rulers have a role to play. In a sort of no holding street for some of them who have to engage in cultivation for them to be able to have power over their subjects. But I must say that the traditional rulers have a role to play. But the government are the ones to lead the road to ensure that cultism is being eliminated. One, you must not give amnesty. What is amnesty? How can you give amnesty? Our government are the one begging for these boys to accept amnesty. Amnesty is a pardon granted to the criminal. When a criminal has fed the fire powers of the government, the criminal should be the one begging for amnesty. And before you give this amnesty, you must ensure that such criminal has genuine repented. You understand? But here, reverse is the case. You make crime so lucrative, where who are coming up, seeing some police who are rich, overwhelmed rich. They want to go into the crime. So the government should be the one who will lead this war against cultists.
Thank you very much. Saying the government should be the one to lead. And he made a point here. He said in advanced countries it should be the criminals begging for amnesty.
Some people haven't said it shouldn't give
and amnesty at all. That it's doing more harm than good.
Yes.
As against the government be bringing amnesty first, even before the Criminals Act.
And then some even join now because of the amnesty. They know that there's going to be amnesty.
At the end of the day. So. It's even possible. Hello to 95.1 FM.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Very fine, thank you.
Yeah, this is Pastor Kinsley.
Okay, Kinsley. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chinedu Wanda have made the point. Have hit to the point. Are you hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
So all we get to do is this: not that giving amnesty. If maybe you give them amnesty, enroll them into police. Some of them want to enter police force. We have police. We have soldiers. They will enroll them there. Since they want to carry arms, let them enroll them to police. I know that police is want to recruit now. Some of them that are like Ahoda East, they said some of them repent. In the here, some of them repent. Then let government their responsibility and enroll them into a force. That is it. That will solve this problem. We are looking for a way forward, not backward, not 2019 or 2000 and this thing. That's exactly what we'll do to help us, to save us from this problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rolling them into the police force. Remember that there's also been the talks that some of the police officers or security officers or SARS officers that we have, some of them used to be, that's the allegation, that some used to be cult members. But then perhaps they stopped the crime, but did they change the personalities? Another thing, because working on in the police force or in any of the government forces, security forces, would not just mean you not being part of an illegal group, but you also have to be different in your approach of handling matters from within. It will mean refurbishing your mind. Do we have that happen? Because some people would say that the act that some of the officers and how they handle the Nigerians or supposed criminal, it's in a way that is not abiding with the provisions of the law or even the police act. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, you're welcome. Your name, please?
My name is Buchi, the preacher.
Okay, preacher. Preach for us.
Now, see, actually, government shouldn't be the frontliner.
Who should
not
be?
Not even employing people, this and that, pastors, no. The only way out is through teaching. For me, supposed to be the frontliner. How? Now, we have known that this corrupt something have already entered into the heart of the people now. Now, the young ones that are into school now, from primary school, let the teachers, because any child that will be a stubborn child or that will carry arms, all the rest of them, some teachers know the stubborn ones. You agree with me for that particular reason. Now, and the government should also give the teachers the strength for them to start teaching, let's say, military into schools. Any child that you see that have this kind of behavior, immediately you capture such person, teach that person how to defend your nation. Now,
so you said you could draft them into the military instead?
Yes. Then they cannot be doing military studies in the schools. By so doing, you see that the next level now that will not come up again will no longer do it. In the sense that the past group, like people like our ages now, they cannot go back to school. They believe that they know even more than their teachers now. You will agree with me that. So all these infants, that they should introduce it now to schools. Now the schools now cannot be one way or the other, inculcating well wisdom to them, especially civic education and social study, should be made important for them. You agree with me that in social studies, there's some topic the always teach integrity, and civic education also teach about the integrity and the patriotism and nationalism. Now, how to defend your country? You inculcate this into them when they are even small. Imagine the school I was teaching. They don't used to greet my people like this urban language and the urban name. So a time came when I was like talking about nationalism. When I taught them how to defend their place, one of them came and said, "Sir, how will I know my urban name?" I said, "I don't know. Go and meet your parents." So many of them, after they left, many of them came back. They were so happy to bear their urban name. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying now. in this area now, we can use it now to brush this grassroots student that is coming up. So before they will go to GS3, at least they might have seen reason. Even if those the deviant ones, they might have seen reason to be what a good soldier tomorrow. Thank you, Buchi from Momo.
Thank you very much, Buchi, for your contribution. We'll be taking some of your text messages shortly. You can send them to 0701-933-9962. Suggesting a method or a way that could help. If we see traits of radical behavior or violence, or I think that's what he's saying, it's safer you just enroll them into the military. Let them go there, where proper discipline would be instilled into these children.
Then can monitor
And then
traits.
they can begin to vent out their anger or the violence that they want on those people who are trying to fight against the national cause or want to harm other innocent Nigerians. Hello to Today95.1 FM.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Nzenwa Alfonso is my name, calling from Job.
Okay, go ahead.
My own contribution, you see, you cannot give more banana and later collect it back from him. Like all the callers have been pointing on one arrow on the government. So most of these boys are genuinely, good boys because the politicians spoil them. That is why things have fall apart today. And if you hear the huge amount these boys used to eat, because those politicians normally fund them very well. And because of the kind of money they normally receive every month. See, no amount of skill you will ask these boys to, involve with today. When they calculate how much they make in a second, no way, they can't go any headway to learn handwork or do any other thing. Just like some persons we are saying what a senator will eat their salary in a month up to 15 million. So the problem this country is having today is politicians. So let us find solution on how we will arrest all these evil men that are our leaders. They have turned this country upside down. You see, the youth are the future of every nation. But due to the way the politicians handle this youth, things have turned around to bad. So, in short, I'm not happy. I'm not happy on how this country is looking like today. I'm not happy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, let's take some of your text messages now. Remember that you can send